What's up? My name is Kamal Akeel, and I'm going to show you guys how to replace your headlight bulbs with LED replacement bulbs. I'll put a link in the description where we got these, and so I'm not sure how straightforward it's going to be. We actually just finished doing a lot of other LED replacements, like the side mirrors, the dome lights, and the reverse lights. We just replaced the bulb for that all with LEDs, and most of it was straightforward. If you go to my channel, you can find those videos and see how we did that as well. So here's the replacement LED bulbs for the headlights. Looks like you have the bulb piece itself and then kind of just like a little igniter module. So we'll see how tricky this is, and if we run into any issues, you guys will see. So obviously I've never actually done anything with the headlights before on this car, but you just pop the hood up. Yeah, it looks like the connector is right there. Looks pretty dirty, but we'll see how this comes off. So this connector actually just pulled straight off, and as you can see, there's a ton of crud on it. It looks like someone did actually put like some type of electrical lube in there, just to ensure that you still had good contact. It doesn't actually look like there's any tabs you press on to do that. So you can just pull this directly out. I'm gonna do the passenger side as well. So, yep, you just pull it directly out, and if you can see, there's like 3 prongs in there. So it's almost like taking something out of an outlet. It's pretty straightforward. All right, so if you look down here, after you pull this connector back, there's a little tab here on this rubber piece, and I just grab that and just pull that directly out. Then once you get that out, you can see that there's like a metal retainer that's actually holding the light in here. So it looks like if you push this to the inside, it pops out, as you can see. So same with that side, and that's it. Your original bulb comes straight out. As you can see in there, you have 3 areas, one here, here, and one straight up top. So when you look at your new bulb, you'll see the same thing. They're actually offset. So you see I have like the 2 at the bottom and the 1 at the top. So it's only going to go in there one way. So that's nice. So then what we'll do, just be careful, you know, not to hit the bulb on anything, but just put that in place. I know it might be kind of hard to see. So you got to put this clip back in there. So I kind of just pushed it to the inside. So if you look at it, you kind of just push it in the inside, and then actually, see, that one wasn't all the way in. So once you push that into the inside to get it under the lip right here, push it back out just to make sure that it's in there snug, so the bulb isn't going to be jiggling around in the housing. So now that you did that, you'll take this adapter piece, and as you can see here, it has, you know, the female parts here and the male terminal parts there. There's actually a little index here, so you can only put this on one way. So you slide that on the one way. It actually, you feel it kind of grip on, and then you actually twist this down to lock it in place. Just threads on there. It says plastic threads. So get that snug, and then as you see, this will plug into the FJ wiring harness, just like that. So the only thing you really got to do after doing this is just find a place to zip tie or screw this down so it's not flopping around in the engine bay and doesn't hit any moving parts and bust up your new LEDs. But since we replaced this one, we'll go turn the headlights on, make sure it's working, and you'll also be able to see the difference between this side with the LED and the original with the halogen. So as you can see, here's the original. which the original lights are good, but as you can see, it has like the yellow tint like most cars do. And then you come over here, you can see our LED replacement. It's hard to tell like differences in brightness right now, but in the color and everything, you can see that it has that more cool white look rather than the amber yellow look. So we just confirmed that it's working. So what I'm gonna do now is actually unplug this again. Unplug this, and I'm actually gonna screw this part off a second time, because the only thing we aren't utilizing right now is the rubber piece that keeps moisture and water out of there. So once you screw that part off, pull this piece off. When you see, y'all saw when I took this off, you know, it slides, like this is the original bulb here. This piece goes directly over that, so you have a tight seal. But when we replace these, as you can see, even if I put the wiring through this, when you come up to here, I mean, this part, you can see how that part is way bulkier than our seal, so that won't slide over that. So what I'm actually going to do is flip this around, put this through. Now when I do this, I'm able to actually see this actually kind of slides over that. So what that tells me is that, oops, just dropped it. So what that tells me is I can actually use a razor blade and kind of cut this part off. So that way we can still slide this over the new LED and have a snug fit, so you prevent water and moisture from getting in there. I know it's kind of like a little extra stuff you gotta do, but it's definitely worth it to do that than rather than leaving this off and then having water get on the bulb and mess it up. It's gonna take a little bit of just messing around with this till you get the right type of fit. So what I'm gonna do is actually just take a razor blade and basically just kind of cut out this internal part so we can slide this around the new LED to kind of seal it in there. There's actually like a small lip right here. I'm gonna try to cut along that and then test fit and see where we are. So I just cut this part off so you have a little more room. Now we'll see if this will actually slide on over this. We might need to make a few more adjustments, but because it is a kind of a tight fit. So honestly, kind of like the way that's sealing on there. The outside is pushing in like it was before. All right, so here's the deal. When you put this on here like that, you want to make sure that you can push this around and not have anything covering this part. So I might take this off one more time just to cut it more flush. And the reason why you don't want this covering the back here, because if you look very closely in this one, there's actually a miniature fan in there, and that thing will actually kick on to keep the LED cool so it doesn't overheat. So obviously we don't want to put anything over that to prevent it from cooling and overheating, and maybe just, I mean, these aren't really meant to burn out, but it could either cause something to go bad with your LEDs, or having this overheat could just cause the fan to go bad, and then you won't have that cooling effect. So with this rubber piece, yeah, you kind of gotta mess with it to get it perfect. So you guys can see how it is now, and I'm just gonna pull it off one more time and cut it just a little bit shorter. So that's what we're gonna do now. So as you can see, I cut it down a little bit further. It's not perfect because I'm using a razor blade and it's kind of a weird angle, but put this back on and just test fit one last time. So first thing you want to do is just kind of push it down around the outside, and then once you do that, you can actually push it down around the inside, and you can see how now it looks a lot better and we have less material covering that fan part. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. It's a nice snug fit around the housing, but you can see the fan isn't exposed. So lastly, we can just screw this back on, which this piece is actually, I didn't realize earlier, it's movable. So then you can actually see how you just gotta, this only goes on one way. So you just plug that in first, and then this slides over, screws down, and you'll feel it get snug. And then now lastly, before we actually connect this back, there are these two slits here, which is pretty convenient for using a zip tie. And there are actually like 3 holes in this area where we could stick a zip tie through. So I'm gonna do that to hold this in place so it's out of the way, not moving around, and nothing gets damaged. So I'm gonna go grab a zip tie and we'll do that. All right, so as far as zip tying this down, like I was showing you earlier, there were these places here, and we found that when we bring it over here, this hole right here next to the OR seems like the best place. So what I'm gonna do is actually, if we put this through here now, and actually put this in the hole, if you keep pushing it, it does come out that way. So once you put this through that and there, you can actually see through that large hole underneath here, you can see the blue zip tie. So if you just use some pliers, you can pull it up. So kind of just pushing this down and pulling up on this on the same time. So rotate it around, and now, yep, there we go. Just zip tie this there. So I got on there snug. I wouldn't pull too tight because those small tabs on the side of this like converter thing are kind of thin. So if you pull the zip tie super tight, you might end up cracking this. So just be careful when you do that. And then lastly, just cut the excess off. And then now this piece here can actually fold back this way, and we have our original connector here, and we can plug it in. So really the goal here, we do fortunately have a lot of space in this area, and if someone doing this wants to, you know, find a different mounting point, go for it. But really what you want to make sure is that like none of the wires themselves, just make sure nothing's touching any like coolant hoses or something, because this would be really hot. And then also make sure it's just, you know, away from the alternator belt and all that. But as you can see, we have a ton of room in here, so that's going to work out fine. So now we'll just go to the other side and do the same thing. We actually already got the bulb and everything out, so now I'm just going to use a razor blade and cut this again. Since I cut that one, I had to cut that one twice. What you want to do for this one is I first cut it at this seam right here. You just want to go a little bit past that, so I'll probably start right here, cut a circle around it, test fit it over the new LED, and then if it's good, we'll go back together. So I just finished cutting the rubber part here and test fit it. As you can see, it's snug all the way around, but still has nothing covering the back where the fans are to allow it to cool. So now we'll just put this module on, and if you look down here, there's that hole there, and I'm thinking we could put the zip tie there and grab it here. and do the same thing. So I'll let you guys know. All right, so we just finished both sides and they're both working great, and they're way brighter than they were before. High beams and low beams both work, so we're all set to go. So as you guys can see, just installed the bulb, cut the rubber protective gasket to custom fit over this so we still had room for the fan to breathe. Then you wire that to your adapter. Then we put the adapter over here, put a zip tie through the small hole, took it out this way to tie that down, then plugged it into the original wiring harness. So this side's solid, it's away from anything that could damage it. And then we went ahead and did the same thing on this side, put the bulb in, cut the rubber gasket so it's allows airflow from the fan. And then so yeah, it's kind of interesting the way I did this. I don't know if you can see the wire here actually tucks under the harnesses over here, loops back, and then I put this through, there's a small hole here, so I put the zip tie through there, brought it up around here to get that secure. And then this is actually from here to here is where this connected. So after I connected those, I mean, they were just in this area, but I put them down in here so they won't be flopping around. This line right here is actually an AC line, so it's not as bad as having like a coolant line right next to it. But yeah, this setup looks pretty solid, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. If this was helpful to anybody installing these bulbs, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see what else we're going to do to the FJ, because we have some other plans. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.